leaders who are currently in place will recognize and make space for those leaders, both in training and encouragement and opportunity, uh, moving out of the way so that younger leaders can step into their roles and guide us into the future. I hope the summit will equip both established leaders and up and coming leaders to again take their rightful place in leadership.
Lakeith Wallace with Living Day by Day.
Dr. Beth, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm Lakeith Wallace with Living Day by Day. You are sought after. You are an incredible leader. And you've had the opportunity to build a lot of leaders. What would you say to that leader who is so focused on being popular rather than building a platform that is about healing and deliverance?
I think that's content of the heart is everything. Because in today's world, you can be recognized in an instant. But once people recognize you, they get a chance to deep in and see if there's anything behind all of the flash. They can find that very quickly. And in today's world, millennials and Gen Zers are focused on authenticity. And so leaders have to be very careful about making sure their content is authentic and not just the flash, the likes, the followers, but what they bring actually is life changing.
So, last question. Have you ever encountered a leader who just would not change?
Absolutely. Because at some point, your inability to make changes will determine greatly limit your destiny. So you don't go very far.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Angela House with the Herman Magazine.
It's a pleasure speaking to you today. You're such an awesome leader. So my first question to you is, in today's ever-changing world, with the things that we're going through daily, for Christian women, what advice would you give them to be effective in today's changing environment?
Well, first of all, I want to admit that our sisters are in an unfair predicament where they are asked to be 10 times as good in order to be accepted on the same level as those that they are 10 times better than. My mother used to often say that a man works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. And it is true, especially I think in the generation in which we live. I think one of the things that has to happen starts with the brothers. And that is, we have to admit our failures to open doors for our sisters and take full responsibility for what we have not done. And then, as an act of reparation, to look for opportunities for our sisters and do our very best to make ways for them. Not because our sisters need us to do that in order to succeed, but because that's our duty. Our sisters have been opening doors for us for generations, and I think it's our turn. I think for our sisters, I would say continue being the amazing queens that you are. You're already brilliant and you're already ingenious. I think the continuation of that with opportunity will eventually lead to different destiny. But it's going to take some time, and we've had some setbacks here recently. It's going to take a little time. I'd ask our sisters to continue patiently doing what they're doing, because I do think they're already making a difference where they are, but there are other doors that I think are open.
Thank you for being honest with that question.
Yes, ma'am.
My second question that kind of expounds upon that is that how do we get our emotional intelligence to play fairly and positively in the arena of leadership?
Mhm. Well, let's talk about emotional intelligence for a moment,
Oh.
and let's admit that in most cases, as sexist and general as this may sound, our sisters are light years ahead of us when it comes to emotional intelligence. So let's start with that. But I think one of the things our sisters have to do is stop letting people judge them at a different standard. You know, a man pounds his fist on the table and he's just being proactive and a good leader. Woman pounds her fist on the table and her emotions are obviously out of control. I think our sisters have to understand that they've been wired the way they are for purpose. And they have to fully embrace all that that they are, because there's so much strength and power in that. And then leverage their emotional intelligence in every setting, their ability to nurture, their ability to think from their intuition, their ability to see past the circumstances and see the hearts of people. I think our sisters have to really go for that. Because I think in this day and time, especially with younger people coming up, there's a much greater openness to intuitive leadership, which I think our sisters really have captured the market on that. They bring the brilliance of the mind and the sensitivity of the heart into the same spaces. And I think they just need to be encouraged to keep pushing that, because there's value in that.
Thank you for understanding our value. It's been my pleasure speaking in the interview.
You're very welcome.
Next, we have Dr. Josephine Harris with the HBC Magazine.
Oh, God bless you.
Hello, how you doing,
I'm
Dr. Mabel?
fine. Behold the green and the gold.
Oh,
United
yeah.
States.
Okay. As you know, you have really good leadership with it, both in the. My first question is, what leadership qualities do you believe are most essential to today's generation of students at HBCUs, and they captivate those while still in school?
Well, I think patience may be one of the strongest values of our, especially student leaders, because when you're a student, I still remember those days. If someone offered me a really good job and I didn't have to keep getting student loans and I didn't have to keep eating noodles, I might take that job and worry about this degree later. But I think our students have to exercise the patience that says, listen, I got to see the long term. So the long-term win for me is to stay right here in school, get through the stress, get through the pressure, do what I've got to do to finish this degree. There's so many of us in our communities where we almost finished a degree, but an almost completed degree doesn't get you very far on a resume. So I think our students, the first, have to exercise patience. Then the second thing I think is humility, and I mean that very specifically. Humility that says, let me learn from someone else. Let me find someone else who's doing what I want to do. Let me follow them around. Let me learn as much as I can from them so that I can grow in who I am. That our students understand they don't have to be completely self-made, that they can find great value for what they can learn from others. Those are the first two qualities that came to mind.
Okay, well, thank you for that. My last question is, you spoken on resilience and transformation, two values central for both ministry and education. How can HBCU students and alumni leverage their unique journeys to become agents of change in their communities?
You know, for us in our HBCUs as people of color, it is this transformative journey that we're on that has made us so resilient. We have a strength and an ability that oftentimes our counterparts don't have because of the transformation that we've gone through. So one of the things we have to do is celebrate who we are and celebrate our journey and what we've learned in our journey. And to recognize that resilience doesn't just mean bouncing back, but it means the ability to maintain your quality and your value as you bounce back. Gold is resilient because no matter what you do to it, you can break it up, you can melt it, you can throw it up against a wall. It's still just as valuable as it was before you started messing with it. And the same is true for our students too. They have to recognize there's a resilience that lives in them. It doesn't just say I can bounce back, but it says when I bounce back, I'm just as valuable, if not more valuable than I was before I went. That's why those two characteristics are vital for us as students.
Okay, well, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you. It's good to see you. How's everything?
Everything's going great. Definitely wanted to ask you, what was the moment you knew God was calling you to pastor and lead? That very moment.
8 years old
Oh
in the
my
third grade. And Mrs. Watkins, my teacher, said to me, and I had integrated a white school. I was the first black student to go in 1964. And Ms. Watkins said to me, he said, "Courtney, I think when you're old enough to, as an adult, our country will be ready for a black president." She used the word black because back then they didn't say black.
Right.
But she said, which I thought was insightful for her as a white woman in East Tennessee.